Throughout Termina's Clocktown, you might come into contact with one of these little cow bobbleheads, a cool little toy that shakes whenever there's a rumble, whether it be from Link rolling into a wall or the moon shaking the very fabric of Termina. There are 10 of these guys hidden around, so let's go find them. There are 4 in East Clocktown. 2 are in the Stockpot Inn, 1 by the front counter, and another is in Granny's room. The other 2 are in the mayor's residence, 1 by the secretary and 1 by the mayor. The rest happen to be in West Clocktown. There's 1 by the banker, 1 by the master, there's another one in the bomb shop. The mysterious Lotto Corner has 1 too. The last 2 are rather well hidden though. The Curiosity Shop man tucks one underneath just out of sight at the trading post. And while he works at the Curiosity Shop, he places one just around the corner out of sight. Why is he so secretive about his cows? Last time we talked about cows, and it's time to keep going. The mayor's residence has 2 cow figurines that bobble when things shake, like the moon. But for whatever reason, these cows are special, not like the other 8 cows. If you come here at night, which is only open for 2 hours a day, from 6 to 8 p.m., a very small amount of time, you can spot the cows are now pyromancers, or candle holders, I'm not sure. Both of our bovine friends have fire protruding from their heads, except it's not from the same spot. One is in front of its nose and one is on its head. Yeah, definitely fire witch bovines. Yeah. Majora's Mask was in development between 1998 and 2000 and was seen as the swan song to the N64. During that time, Nintendo of America's Howard Lincoln had announced that Nintendo was working on something called Project Dolphin, which would be the code name for the Nintendo GameCube coming out in 2001. These dev kits here show a dolphin on the front, and in later dev kits, they even says dolphin on it. Now, if we go to the observatory and slash these pots here, we can spot a piece of paper with a dolphin on it. Now, this game was made at the same time as the GameCube, so this must have been a clever little nod to its successor. That is cool. When Link first enters Clocktown, the first thing you see is a man standing upon a structure to be built for the festival. This man is known as Apprentice and stares off into the sky at the moon. After 12 hours, he's still staring and noting the moon has gotten bigger, which it has. On day 2 and beyond, the apprentice goes missing and is replaced by the carpenter Bremer. But where does he go? Well, if we collect all the Skulltulas in the Great Bay House, we see that he pops up at the entrance. And I do mean he literally pops up out of nowhere. Anyway, if we clear the house on day 1, he'll reward us with either a wallet or a silver rupee. No hugs this time. He is looking for shelter for the moon and gives us his life savings. If we clear on day 2, he gives us less, only 50. He must be spending it, even noting that rupees will be worthless soon. Come day 3, he has but a single 20 for us and hopes it's enough. What do you think? Do you think that this place, or any place, can survive the moon crash? In many of the Zelda game file select screens, you can see a number next to your file. This number typically represents how many deaths you've had. Whenever you save and load your file again, you'll see the number increments. Now, if you were to pop in the Japanese version of Majora's Mask, you'd see the same looking number, except it's not for counting deaths. Instead, since this game relies on manipulating time, the number increments every time you play the Song of Time and Reset. Now, they realized you couldn't beat this game with 0 saves. Without fancy glitches, the game forces you to play the song at least once in the prologue, so it's impossible to stay at 0. So, in the international version, it was replaced instead with this fancy status screen. A nice change. But if you want to see a game complete in 3 days, check out my Max HP live stream, link below. Pop in the Japanese version of Majora's Mask and you'll notice 3 save slots, which is 1 more than its international counterparts. But why is that? Well, in the Japanese version, owl statues act differently. They were used only for warping around the map via the Song of Soaring. The save mechanic hadn't been introduced yet, and the only way to preserve your progress was to play the Song of Time and Reset. Of course, there was a lot of feedback about this, so in the international releases, they included a save feature in each owl. However, this came at a cost. Because you were allowed to save at the owl, they had to remove something, and they ended up only giving us 2 save file selects. What do you think? Was it worth it? Do you like the owl saves? Majora's Mask has a few major songs that are used to progress the story. Here, the Goron's Lullaby can put this big Goron to sleep and allow us to reach Snowhead Temple. But did you know that this song also works on other Gorons too? This Gatekeeper? Sleeping. These boys here? Snoozing. The Frosty Twins? Slumbering. And it's worth pointing out that only our Goron drums can actually put them to sleep. Must be the rhythmic beats. I'm getting tired too. Link is given Kafei's mask from Madame Aroma in an attempt to help find her missing son. You see, Kafei's been reportedly missing for quite some time and is to be wed to Anju on the day of the festival. Wearing the mask allows you to talk to random people about his whereabouts, and nearly everyone has something to say. But amongst all the townsfolk, perhaps the most interesting clue comes from the owner of the trading post. He casually mentions that he hasn't seen this kid. This kid. Well, at first glance, this may seem like nothing, but it's actually the most telling hint in the game, because Kafei is an adult, set to be married, or at least was. Kafei has now been turned into a child by Skull Kid and has been hiding ever since. But how would he know this? Turns out that this man who's been hiding Kafei is his best friend. I kid you not. In most Zelda games, we hear about various spirits or deities, but at the top stands the Golden Goddesses. These three golden goddesses form together to make the legendary Triforce. We know them as Din, Nehru, and Feror. However, in Majora's Mask, we learn of another goddess, one that we only hear about in Majora's Mask. And the source of this comes from a few interesting characters. One is the apprentice who fears for his life in the cleared out Skulltula house. One is Tattle, who calls out for help when facing Skull Kid. And one is Zelda? At least from a memory of her when she teaches us the song. This song uses the goddess's power to rewind time, something that we don't see the original three goddesses do. So, what do you think? Is this goddess of time a name for one of our existing three goddesses? Or is it a fourth hidden sister? One that's unseen, like time itself? Let me know what you think below. In Majora's Mask, you're forced to rewatch cutscenes over and over again as you go back in time, and with no way to skip them, it can be a drag. But luckily, there are some ways we can circumnavigate these. After beating Woodfall, you normally get this cutscene where Tattle flies back and forth and just goes on and on. But if we beat another temple first, out of order, which you can do, then this cutscene never happens, as the trigger has been completely skipped. If you want to see how I did that, I did an entire reverse boss order run, which you can see in the description below. Or is it above? Shorts are weird. I'm stupid. You're stupid! Moments before traveling to the moon to face Majora in the final boss encounter, we encounter Skull Kid one last time on the clock tower. You can normally only use an Ocarina of Time and no masks here, meaning you can't transform into anything. But if we do say transform into Goron, for example, before we enter the clock in the final night, then the cutscene gets a little interesting. Dear God, man, where is your face? For whatever reason, Goron's face just goes faceless. Which is weird because everyone else's face is just fine. Yep, gonna contact the therapist. Deku flowers are great for Dekus, as they can shoot you in the air and let you fly for a time. And you can even drop Deku bombs from the sky. Bombs away. Now, there's notoriously one right in the middle of the Odolwa fight, which helps you fight the boss. Now, what's funny is that the room and the boss, it always kind of reminded me of Majora. I mean, just look at it. And check it out, there's even a picture of a flower right in the middle. So, like a flower, we can actually burrow down into this, but this thing is useless. We can still get hit inside, and when we shoot out, we can't even fly. I mean, this thing, it's a ripoff. Was Majora just painting flowers in his spare time? No, these are defense mechanisms to trick Dekus, because he knows that Dekus are the real threat. Tingle, the map maker, can be found floating around Termina at various locations, especially this iconic one here, the infamous Smash Bros map. He normally flies up in the air at all hours of the day, except for one spot, in North Clocktown, the first place you would meet him. I mean, look, I have him caught here on the day transition, and he just vanishes when it becomes 6 p.m. One thought is that the North Clocktown is a dangerous place, and perhaps he didn't want to get caught here at night. I mean, there is a mugging here at night by Sakon the Thief, but what do you think? In North Clocktown, where does Tingle go? Find Sakon the Thief and Ikana lurking around, and it seems that you can only speak to him in human form, where he'll ask to see our sword. Tattle doesn't let that fly. If you change to Deku, he'll just completely ignore you. Rude. Change to Zora, and he'll run away. Hello? Sir? Oh God, I think I broke him. Change to Goron, and again, he'll just run away. So far that he blinks out of existence, actually. What is wrong with this game? Head to the castle at Ikana to find a rather unique secret. Ascend through the inside to eventually come out on top, where you need to navigate the rooftop. In the corner, you'll find a pillar with what appears to be paper? A paper airplane? Now, I have no idea why this is here. It could be a reference to a myriad of games like Paper Mario, but that's a big stretch. What do you think? This can't be from the original people of Ikana. Who is here throwing airplanes? These guys? Definitely these guys. The Zora Hall has a few secret optional rewards for helping out around town. Being the home of the rehearsal site for the band The Indigo Goes, we can see two Zoras on stage. One complains that the lights have gone out. With our trusty fire arrows, we can light these two torches up and get them all to light. Classic puzzle. We get a small 5 rupee reward. The other Zora is trying to do a sound check. Playing your guitar as Zora will trigger him to respond with the stage being set either too loud or too quiet. On top of that, our guitar sounds distorted out, almost as if plugged into an amplifier. Pretty cool, but it seems like they haven't gotten the level just right yet. The next Zora is something else. He asks for something personal from Lulu, the lead singer. If we take a photo of her when she's still feeling depressed and give it to him, he'll mention that something feels off and only give us a blue 5er. However, if we play her the new wave bossa nova and take a picture of her when she's happy, then this guy is ecstatic with the new photo and gives you a red 20. Not too shabby. The Zora Hall features the band The Indigo Goes, and they have a killer set right in the middle. Normally, they would be practicing for the show. However, this rehearsal won't happen without our help, as Lulu has lost her voice. Once we defeat Georg and play the new wave bossa nova, band practice is back on. And we even get a special cutscene for it if we approach his Macau, getting to play with the band. If this song sounds familiar, it's actually part of the Heart Piece Jam Session side quest, and is also featured in the end credits. Sing it, girl. What is this? This little blue thing Tattle is checking out. Occasionally, there are places where Tattle might just float up to like an NPC here, but this is a mystery even to me. There's another interesting one here below the Twin Mold boss fight. We can yellow target it, but again, we can't interact with it or even ask Tattle what it is. If we do a little glitch called Weird Shot, we can actually be placed underground and we can look at it. And nothing. What are these mysterious Tattle locations? Do you know of any weird Tattle target? The Japanese version of MM has plenty of differences, but this one here is pretty funny. When at the Great Bay, you'll notice the platform to get up to the owl can't be climbed on. In the US and international versions, this was easily climbable from all sides. However, in the Japanese version, you have to instead do a dolphin jump by shooting out of the water to get atop, and it's a pretty tight jump. It's even more difficult from the sides, but still possible. Not to say that you can't still dolphin jump in the US version. Oh yeah. On the night of the final day, Link must climb atop the clock tower to face off against the mask-wielding imp. Normally, you would have all 4 masks and play the Oath to Order to halt the moon from falling. But if, say, you only had 1 giant, then when you play the song, you'll get an alternate cutscene, one where only the giants you have saved are here to stop the moon. Unfortunately, we need all 4, so what you have here will fail. What's more is that you'll get a special little cutscene and then have 1 minute remaining to try to play the Song of Time before the moon falls for good. You've met with a terrible fate, haven't you? 20 more. We got this.